Good afternoon, Adair. Good afternoon, Brett. Good to see you both. Hope you're doing well. Looking forward to unpacking the session today. Had some very choppy price action yesterday. Good morning, Ryan. Good afternoon, rather. Hope you're doing well. I'm just going to give a little bit of time for people to sign on in, then we'll get stuck in to the session. Don't know if any of you were trading the Federal Reserve meeting last night. Good morning, Najam. Good afternoon, rather. Were you trading the Federal Reserve decision last night? There were some good opportunities, actually. Nice price action. I was trading it a little bit. Yeah, okay. It's nice, couple of nice moves to the downside and the upside. Okay. Yeah, I hope you feel better soon, Najam. Nothing serious, I hope. Okay. All right, folks, without further ado, let's get stuck into the session. So, I know exactly what you mean. It's funny, sometimes I get like, I've noticed it myself when I'm trading, sometimes I get like an ominous feeling before a day. And every time I get that ominous kind of feeling, I've learned you shouldn't trade.
And so
quite bizarre. If anyone else ever gets
in line
that.
with the consensus, the South African Reserve Bank cuts its repo rate by 25 basis points to 7% in line with the consensus.
It's almost like your body's telling you something.
The central bank says the decision was unanimous.
I've got a similar feeling. Pretty much. Yeah, okay.
Just a bit of economic commentary from MA MasterCard chief on call post earnings says consumer spending remains healthy, supported by low unemployment and wage growth that continues to outpace inflation.
It's pretty interesting, really, the that dynamic between the mind and the body. And sometimes your mind's telling you, your body's actually telling you something, isn't it, through the anxiety. It's just very fascinating. Anyway, topic for another time. Just before we move on, I remember I got it very badly for the Swiss National Bank just before they removed that peg. I had a real deep sense of unrest, and obviously you're subconsciously picking up on the changing condition environment, and then the SNB removed that peg. All right, folks. Yeah, it has been a bit random. There's a few levels that they've been indecisive action around. It's been choppy, hasn't it? Yeah. Well, let's see if today's a bit different. We've got some cleaner levels, that's for sure. So let's get stuck in. So yesterday we had the Federal Reserve interest rate meeting, and interest rates were unchanged as expected. Powell's come under significant hassle from Donald Trump. Before the meeting, Trump said that I hear the Fed are cutting in September. During the meeting, Powell said that December hasn't been decided, and then Trump this morning calls Trump too late. Powell has done it again. Too late, too angry, too stupid, and too political to have the job of Fed chair. So how's that for a ringing endorsement from your president? If you've ever got some bad feedback at work, well, it's nothing compared to what Powell's getting from his boss, right? Although joking aside, the independence of the Federal Reserve is important, and Powell was stressing that again last night. The focus for the Fed now is twofold: labor and inflation. Interestingly, Powell basically said they're looking through the latest uptick in tariff prices as a temporary measure. He said reasonable base case is that tariffs are one-time price impacts, will not turn out to be inflation, because we will make sure it's not by deploying its tools. So Powell said they're shown restraint by not hiking interest rates yesterday. They're looking through the uptick in inflation as one-time price impact. And now what they're focusing on is labor and inflation. So between now and September's meeting...
A bit more here for the South African Rand traders. Central bank governor's comments
It's labor data and inflation data that's going to be super important. The Fed also focused on today with this initial jobless claims data. They mentioned it in the actual decision that they noticed that initial jobless claims had fallen 6 weeks in a row. So if you just go over to that, so the data we've just had now is the first uptick. Yeah, it doesn't really make any difference. It's still like a big move lower, but that just got the Fed's attention that, the labour market's very strong. Unemployment 4.2% from the last NFP. So with labour data being so important, the pricing for a Fed interest rate cut at the moment for September is basically seen as kind of 50-50 according to some price calculations. And you can see here current about 4.21, slightly higher than it was a week ago. And that means tomorrow's non-farm payroll data is going to be absolutely critical. A very high print and that will get markets interested. So that's definitely one to look out for. If we get a big miss in the labour data or a strong labour market, should see strong reaction. So just be aware of that. Turn the squawk back on. Just be aware of that dynamic for tomorrow. So apart from that, Powell's more sort of hawkish outlook really strengthened the dollar. And you look at the reaction to the dollar on the decision, it was just more hawkish, so totally expected, and the dollar's just surged, right? Majors pressured. So in terms of FX world, selling euro US dollar makes sense on any pullbacks, right? So you get a simple pullback, anything decent here, then you can look for potential sellers. Just watch out for this trend line here. Break to the downside, possibly like a little flag here. Break and close under there, expect sellers to accelerate. So that's not unreasonable for euro dollar, and maybe a run down to 11300. Not unreasonable. That is a potential breakout trade that's taking place now. Looking at commodities, they took a heavy hit on the strong dollar. Gold down, silver down, WTI Brent crude all down. Iron ore, very choppy action. And look at the copper prices. Now, this is the danger of tariff-induced trading, right? The 50% tariff on copper products was kind of reversed. There's some confusion about whether there can be some exemptions for the 1st of August. So that's going to be a big political unwinding, right? We had that pennant, moved up at those highs. That's where I took profit. We stalled at those highs, and then you can see here the price has just plummeted. So copper's a big catalyst, victim rather of the tariff basically trading. That's the danger of it. Stocks sharply down, then sharply higher. Looking at the S&P 500, nice hammer reversal off this trend line. So you can see here price still wanting to move higher. Now looking at where price is in terms of the Globex open, got value area low sitting down here, value area high sitting up there, and we're sitting above the R1 pivot point. Price trying to just take up those highs. Looking at earnings just before we move on, we have Meta and Microsoft, strong earnings. Meta and Microsoft up double digits, both companies. Apple and Amazon got earnings coming up after the close today. So strong data, strong earnings, that's been supporting markets. Apple, very interesting. Look at this for a potential breakout. This could be a false break, and if Apple's earnings are strong, could we see a breakout later? Be interesting to see. If you look at Meta, you can see that their pre-market is well above prices here over at 773 down, from under 700 yesterday's close. So pretty strong for Meta. So Meta and Microsoft, you could look for sort of flag patterns on the 15-minute chart. That would be quite interesting to see how that goes. And aside from that, we'll just go into the hourly chart. Yesterday, breaking out above value in market, going into imbalance in the overnight session. So market breaking out the weekly balance, imbalanced. Support levels here, you see sellers still in control there and there. Buyers have come in but haven't managed to trap any sellers. So you could see some sellers moving in, look for a pullback down to that region. On the 15, you can see that buyers have been coming in. Look on the hour, you can see that the inventory is positive. And coming into the 15-minute chart, just watch out for this level here. Now we had a lot of buyers come in, and these buyers, right, have trapped these sellers here. So at the moment, before the open, right, the buyers are in control. But if these sellers, right, are able to push under those buyers, then these sellers have gained control before the open. So keep careful eye on that. For clear buys, you want to go above this level, and clear sells, you want to go above that level. Right? And at the moment, we're sitting on that R1 pivot point. So this is a bit of a pullback here. Buyers having trapped sellers. Do we get
further details here regarding the conversation between Trump and Mexico's Sheinbaum expected for today? Jennifer Jacobs just noting that Mexico is set to present its tariff proposal. Does of course come a day ahead of the August 1st deadline, according to CBS's Jacobs.
Do we get any sellers that get trapped here? That's going to be the key thing. So just looking at this, got a couple of minutes or 1 minute to the 15-minute close. We'll have a look at this. This could be interesting. Some sellers coming in, and those sellers still sort of in control from earlier. Right, 55 seconds. We'll just wait to watch that. 30 seconds. Interesting to see if these sellers trap those buyers. If they do, sellers have just got back in control here. Sellers looking like they're gaining control, trapping buyers. Let's see if they do. 5 seconds left. Yeah, okay, so sellers have trapped buyers. We're in this choppy range, so it's not looking for a trade, but those breakout buyers are going to have lost some confidence now. Obviously, break out and push up above those highs, then we could look for a continuation higher. So for now, just going to wait, leave it, see how it goes. Otherwise, you can see we're sitting above that R1 pivot point and now back under the point of control. Sellers just in control for the near term. You can see a little bit of delta building up here. 75, 150 contracts. Oh, nice one, Brian. Nice checking. Let me just check there. Good spot. Right. 6468. Nice one, Ryan. Up at the highs of the day. Look at that. I literally touched it here. Let's just mark that on the chart. So what we're looking for here to the open, sellers trapping those buyers. That's what I'm looking for. Then looking for a potential pullback and then to sell. All right, we've got the R1 pivot point just here. See if we go underneath these levels and it's up and down. That's what I'm looking for. So looking like a 15-minute close. Here we go. Let's see what we get. 50 seconds to the close. And if we run down to the 3-2. Quite a lot of room here. Okay, 23 seconds. Okay. So sellers on the limit have been winning this little battle. Okay. Okay, that's a sell. Okay, just taking profit as I've hit that standard deviation. Nice little move. Nice and straightforward. Thanks, Ryan. Now I was monitoring up the tick chart on the other channel. So you can just see on the tick chart, that was very straightforward. Buyers trapped here. That was the entry. All right. Then we move down. Then buyers getting trapped there again. Nice, Nadja. Yeah, very nice. Okay, point of control's down here. And you can see here, sellers trapping buyers again. So you might see a bit more downside. Yeah, well, I find that, Nadja, I find that the tick chart just helps. Especially when, like, it's just a little retracement, the first evidence of buyers getting trapped. And you see here, let's set, buyers getting, okay, a bit of flatness here. So I could have held it a bit longer if we just analyze this.